My background's in theater, so I'm very comfortable being around people who have big feelings. And I was a production manager, which meant I was kind of the person that was herding everything, all the chaos, taking these big ideas and creating something out of nothing. So that very easily lent itself into coaching, where I'd been coaching on the side of my theater job for a long, long time. And I was building a life with somebody that I thought was going to be my forever person. We were living together and talking about marriage and having kids and buying a house and all of that stuff. And then one day he came to me and said, "Sarah, I love you, but I don't think I want those things with you anymore." And it was the moment that my heart just shattered. And of course, I'm devastated, but also the loss of an entire future of I thought I knew what the rest of my life was going to look like. And it all goes black in an instant. And I knew that was the moment I had a choice of I could handle that breakup the way I've handled every other breakup in the past.
Welcome to Unmute with Priya, the podcast where silence ends, voices rise, and women rediscover the freedom to speak and live authentically, especially in life after 40. This show is proudly sponsored by Project Icon. I'm your host, Priya Sudarsanam. Let's dive into today's conversation. Welcome back to Unmute with Priya. Today I am talking with Sarah Curnoles, breakup coach and founder of Over It and Onward. Sarah helps people rebuild after heartbreak, not just move on from an ex, but actually reconnect with themselves. So Sarah, I am excited to have you on here today because you're touching on a very intimate topic where a lot of people end up after a relationship where they say, who am I now?
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you so much for having me, Priya. It's such a delight to be talking to you and getting to share this with your audience.
Absolutely. So I think, we were talking before, you've been this Over It and Onward, you've been doing that for the last 2 years. But you've been coaching for 9 years. So what's your story about how you got into helping with breakups specifically?
Yeah, absolutely. I found my way to coaching. My background's in theater. So I'm very comfortable being around people who have big feelings. And I was a production manager, which meant I was kind of the person that was herding everything, all the chaos, taking these big ideas and creating something out of nothing. So that very easily lent itself into coaching, where I'd been coaching on the side of my theater job for a long, long time. And I was building a life with somebody that I thought was going to be my forever person. We were living together and talking about marriage and having kids and buying a house and all of that stuff. And then one day he came to me and said, "Sarah, I love you, but I don't think I want those things with you anymore." And it was the moment that my heart just shattered. And of course, I'm devastated, but also the loss of an entire future of I thought I knew what the rest of my life was going to look like. And it all goes black in an instant. And I knew that was the moment I had a choice of I could handle that breakup the way I've handled every other breakup in the past, which would be to spin out in pity. And what did I do wrong? And what did I mess up here? Did I say the wrong thing? What was my problem here? And then just stay in this, I don't know, it's sort of like a wallowing place is where I would go. Or I could figure something else out. And because I had that theater job, it was a very high pressure job. I was I can't afford to spin out. I have to be on. I have to lead meetings. I have to the pressure's on me. I was so I don't have a choice. I have to figure out how do I get through this breakup while continuing to be a leader at my job. And it was not easy because nobody at the time was really talking about how do you handle grief well? How do you process your feelings? How do you keep showing up with focus? And how do you keep having a vision for yourself when it feels like your world fell apart? And so I'm not going to lie. I hired 3 different programs. I had a therapist, I had a life coach, and I worked with an embodiment group. And I pulled something from each of them that was really helpful. And I thought to myself, I was nobody should have to go to 3 different places to get this process. I decided to take the best from everything that I'd learned, and I turned it into a coaching program so that I could help people in a very quick way. That took me 6 months, probably between 3 programs. I do it in 3. most of the time with
Wow.
people. Yeah. And really helping people. So what happened for me was I got very clear on this is what people mean when they say they love themselves. Like, this is what that feels like. Like, I actually like who I am. And I'm allowed to want what I want for my life. And I don't have to overcompromise. And I don't have to play small to stay safe in my relationship. And I don't have to prioritize him over me. I can really design the life that I want. And so now what I do when we were talking about this recording, I travel and I'm really looking for what do I want my home to be next? And I was in the UK last year traveling and pet sitting while I'm growing my business, and I'm going across country right now. And this kind of life makes me so happy.
Especially when you're making such a big impact, because as you're talking about breakup, my mind is racing about all the things that are said, especially when you're going through a breakup. And so I want you to help debunk the myth, especially when somebody's, in a toxic relationship. Maybe you're in a relationship where things aren't so toxic, but you're just not aligned anymore. And one person's saying, I don't want this anymore. And then there's the ones that are toxic where people are saying to you, you're better off, get over it. And that almost makes it worse. So what do you have to say for that whole piece of advice that I think a lot of times people get?
Yeah. When you're leaving a toxic relationship, the hardest first step is figuring out who am I without that person and learning how to trust your own inner voice again. Because you've spent so long prioritizing somebody else's opinion, somebody else's perception of reality even, right? Yeah. You've been doubting your own reality and figuring out how can I trust myself again? And it really starts with coming home to learning the tools of your own body. We're never taught, people say like, trust your intuition and trust your gut. But those things speak in the language of the body, which isn't the language of our mind. And so one of the very first things I do with anybody is I start to teach them, how do you listen to your body? What does that mean? What are the unique ways that your body communicates with you, so that you learn how to come home to yourself and start listening to yourself. And also I will say, yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, you were going to say, because I think you're also hitting on this piece of like, our friends mean well, but they don't get it.
They don't get it. And this is the other piece of what you said when you were sharing your story, is you mentioned the word grief. And I think a lot of times people associate grief with death, but grief, when you're going through a breakup, and it doesn't even have to be that you were with a person for years. It could just be even that you're in connection with somebody and that loss is real.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And our friends mean well, but people who love you don't like to see you hurting.
Yeah.
And they don't know how to show up for you.
Right.
And so even my friends did this there was sort of that pressure of like, how are you not over this yet?
Right. Like, exactly. It's pressure.
It's pressure. And I'm like, I know you're all uncomfortable that I'm still sad, but I'm still sad.
Yeah.
I'm allowed to be sad. I'm experiencing a significant loss. And I think that's one of the hardest things, because we go to our friends for so much. But this kind of work, people aren't trained how to help you through this.
Right.
And most people get uncomfortable sitting with people who are sad. Not that there's anything wrong with sadness. We just don't know how to sit with it.
And that pressure is real, because then you start to take it, internalize it, and think something's wrong with you because, hey, it's been months. Hey, it's been a year and I'm still struggling through this.
Correct.
Yeah. So let me ask you a question as we talk about time. Why, in your opinion, why time alone doesn't just heal the heartbreak? What really keeps you trapped in those tears, in the obsessing, social media stalking? I am guilty of it.
We're all guilty.
And it was, oh my gosh, it's so bad. And you're wondering, why am I doing this? And then it makes you feel worse. And then you're making more stories. So yeah, what is your professional analysis of that?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest myths out there is that time will heal all wounds. And that's one of those average pieces of advice that I think my mom would tell me all the time, my friends. But the truth is, time isn't what heals the wound. It's what you do with the time. I had an ex that I was hung up on for 8 years. 8 years. We were only together, I think, 2.
Okay.
I was still, and when I say, I guess I should define this. I think it's important we define terms of like moved on and when I say hung up. I was still emotionally affected anytime somebody brought up his name, anytime I had to interact with him. We ran in similar circles, so it happened frequently.
Yeah.
And I would still feel that clench in my body of like, oh, I have to deal with him. I'm like, oh, like I was still being emotionally affected by it for 8 years. I was in a relationship for part of that 8 years. Actually, most of the 8 years, I was in another relationship, thinking I was fine, thinking I was moved on, but still feeling bleh on the inside because I had unprocessed emotions. I was really hurt. He cheated on me, and I hung on to that for so long. And the way that you know that you're not moved on, I see this a lot. My people will tell me of like, I'm dating somebody and he'll get a text from a coworker, a female coworker, and I lose my mind. And I'm like, yeah, we've got some unprocessed stuff to go through there.
Yeah.
So it's not the length of time after a breakup or a divorce that's going to heal you. We want to start looking at what are you doing with that time to help you close that chapter.
I love how you focus on bringing it back to yourself, because I think I'm just speaking from personal. Thank you for sharing about the 8 years, because that just normalizes what I've been doing for the past.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. But I think there was also a reliance. I kept that door just a slightest bit open, because there was this desire to have the other person, that they were going to come back and repair the ruptures.
Yeah.
They were going to fix it. So there was this, and what it came down to is I actually had to repair those own ruptures within myself. Nobody was going to do it for me. This person was never going to do it for me.
Yes. Yeah. And I think you're hitting on this other piece that people talk about a lot. My clients come to me and they say, I need closure. I have to have that last conversation with my ex because I have to understand why they left. And it's the same concept of time doesn't heal all wounds. Closure doesn't require the other person.
Yeah.
You can actually create closure of giving yourself the answers and the clarity that you need. And honestly, I mean, play that out. How many times have we're old enough, we've probably had those conversations with an ex of like, tell me what happened. Like, tell me what were you thinking? And we end up leaving that conversation feeling worse.
Oh, absolutely. Each and every time. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So another person, even if you try, I bet they're not going to give you the clarity or the feelings that you're hoping to feel. It's actually really powerful. And it's an exercise I do with my clients it's a very specific letter writing exercise of you write the letter of everything you want to say to that person, of like all the questions you want answered. And you never send it. but you write the response as if you are your ex. Write it as them to you, giving yourself every answer that you wish you had.
Oh, that sounds really powerful. What have you noticed when you've done this process with your clients?
Yeah, it's an immediate shift. I usually give it to them as homework, so I don't see them for a whole week because you want some time with that. But they come back and they're like, I feel so clear. I feel free. I feel like I can let go. And I think we're all surprised by how much power we actually have with like in our own life. There's something freeing of like, I didn't need him. I didn't need that other person.
It's liberating. It's absolutely liberating. And then it starts your healing journey. I feel like resets your healing journey, that you're just can finally take that breath, deep breath. Yeah. You talk about embodiment practices and really tuning into the body. Can you explain in your experience how your mind hijacks the healing process?
Yeah, it's
our mind. We both just said it at the same time.
Yeah, because it's like, silly mind, you think you're helping me.
Yeah.
We are wired as human beings. We're wired to be negative. And so when people say to me, like, I feel like I'm being so hard on myself, or I feel like I'm always so negative. Well, let me just tell you, first off, your brain is wired to go that way automatically. So if we put that in the context of your breakup, we're automatically going to be wired to go towards, what did I do wrong? So that's the very natural place to go. And our brain hates an unanswered question. It hates an open loop. So if you ask it, what did I do wrong? Your brain is going to go to work looking for all the things you could have done wrong. And that's why we spin out. That's why our brain gets stuck on these loops and we get really down on ourselves. And so if you are doing that, if you're listening to this and you're doing that, know that it's normal. It's okay. And you can stop that. You don't have to keep doing that. One of the ways that we can do that is I will have people do a brain dump every single day, 5 minutes, write out all those questions looping in your mind, write out all those thoughts, just put them on a piece of paper and empty your brain the way you would empty the trash every day. Or clean out a cat litter box or something.
And you start your morning this way.
Yes. Or you do it if you find there's a certain time of day that it happens. I did it in the morning just so I don't forget. But if there's a better time for you, you're I get home from work and I can't stop thinking, do it then. Yeah, you could do it any time of day.
So that's our mind. We talked about our minds. Now let's talk about our emotions and feelings, because I think there's so many people out there, and so many of the women that I've spoken to weren't allowed to feel. So actually going through the process of feeling all the feels is really uncomfortable. And so they do anything to switch it off, even getting into another relationship very quickly soon after the breakup. So tell me a little bit more on your expertise on emotions.
Yeah. So emotions, I think we have ones that we label as good and we have ones that we label as bad. I don't think that there's such a thing as a bad emotion. We're just labeling them wrong. Right. The good emotions are the ones we can access easily, like joy. We can easily access joy. Cool. That's a good one. The ones that make us feel uncomfortable, we label as bad. So heartbreak, grief, anger, these ones that we have a harder time accessing, we say that they're bad. They just need a different approach because those quote unquote bad emotions contain so much wisdom for you, but it's also kind of like your body. We just don't know how to listen. Yeah. So they need a different structure that we can move through those. And when I say move, I mean, I literally move my emotions because I say emotions are energy in motion. Yeah. True. And so those ones that are harder to access, I'll put on a piece of music that sort of lines up with how I'm currently feeling. So if it's anger, I have a full rage playlist.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah. I'll put on one angry song and I will move my body, stomp my feet, throw a pillow, throw a temper tantrum, punch the air, and I'll let myself make noise, whether it's grunting or growling or just saying, I'm so mad, or a silent scream. I don't like a real scream. It hurts my throat. Yeah. So I'll silent scream. So it's still a scream.
We're not supposed to scream. That's bad for our vocal cords.
Exactly. Yeah. But you could do a full on scream without making the noise and you still feel the release. But yeah, move the energy and let the energy pass, because emotions, as they are, without thought or interpretation or judgment or labels, they don't last longer than 90 seconds.
90 seconds.
90 seconds.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a
so if you ride the wave, it's short.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ride the wave.
Yep.
I think that's really helpful for anyone who's listening because, like I said, we all just want to kind of make it go away. And it sounds like the key to that healing process is really allowing those 90 seconds to pass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I do this a lot with my clients of setting small containers, like the 5 minutes of taking out your mind trash. Do a one song emotion process. Yeah. The length of a song, 4 minutes, right?
Yeah.
You can handle 4 minutes of anything.
Yeah. And so have you found with your clients, even in your own process, that actually going through the steps that you've outlined in your coaching, actually feeling everything and not rushing anything, actually helped at the end of it, you come out thinking, oh, that was the best thing that I could have done for myself? Tell me what your clients have said or
your own
journey.
What I love, especially working with women, especially when we're in this middle age time frame, is that really this time is the best time of your life to reclaim what do I want my life to be about? And I love working with people going through a breakup because it is sort of like starting at ground zero of saying, I'm wiping the slate clean. What do I want my life to be? When we learn how to deal with the tough stuff, like getting through grief, working with our mind so it's not spinning out negativity, we start to be able to pivot and point towards, what do I want my life to be about? How do I want to matter? What's the legacy I want to have in my life? And honestly, like women, we are the most capable of creating amazing legacies and having big impacts. And if you can handle the tough stuff, you're unstoppable. That's when you can really make a difference, whether it's in your local community or in your family or in your career, or you want to go out and change the world. If you can handle the tough stuff, nothing can stop you. So that's what I find is the big difference is my clients. I have one who started a new job. She had left my client Annie had left her husband 3 years prior to meeting me, but she was still stuck in the what if of like, did I make the wrong choice? Am I asking too much? Am I being too much? Like, what if I never make it? What if I'm always financially struggling? Right? Those were all those questions. And we started working together and I taught her my processes. And while we were working together, she got a new job teaching music to kids, which it's not her end game goal, but it's like a step towards it. And she had this fire lit under her of like, look at me. I can make a difference in my life. And it just started to have this ripple effect of like, I can do this. I can have an impact in the world the way that I want to. And her creativity started to come back. She's a singer-songwriter.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah. So little by little, it's starting to come back. And what she's finding is she can co-parent easier because she doesn't feel bogged down in did I make the wrong choice? You know, should I go back? Should I settle for the smaller life that I could have had with him? But now she's like, look at what's possible.
Yeah.
And she's moving forward.
Oh, that's amazing. And it's making me think when what somebody said to me when it was just really messy is like, embrace the messiness. Nobody said it had to be clean and straight cut and straight lines or perfect or anything. There's none of that. So embrace the messiness. And I feel like that was some of the best advice I could have taken because it was messy for a while.
I love messy. Like, I mean, there's a part of me, like the little girl who liked to wear dresses. I hated getting dirty, but like now and as an adult, I'm like, bring on the mess.
I love it. I love it. And, you know, just talking about the client that you just spoke about, it's when I speak to my clients, a lot of women, they don't realize this, you know, Unmute with Priya. It's really this entry into perimenopause, and postmenopause goes until you're in the grave, right? You're just, but a lot of the women that I've spoken to, their relationships ended right as they were entering perimenopause without even realizing it because there was this thing going on internally, like, I can't do this anymore. I can't do this anymore. Or what I noticed too, and what happened in me, I started changing and the other person wanted to be in the relationship with the older version of me.
Yeah, exactly.
Is that what you've noticed as well?
Totally. People who are benefiting from you having a lack of power, a lack of boundaries are going to be like, wait a second, what's happening here?
Wait, I had more control before. I don't have any control right now. Yeah.
Yeah,
and then
exactly.
I feel like you just gave a really amazing example of what unmuting is, because unmuting is not just about speaking up. It's about like hitting the unmute button. What do? It's music. You're a singer, you're a songwriter, you're expressing yourself. Maybe it's dance, but you actually just get to start being you.
Totally.
And I think that that's beautiful that you guide clients through that, or you bring them back to themselves. And it sounds like just even from your process, it's taking away the focus from the ex and bringing the focus back to us. So then that just really facilitates the healing even more.
100%. Yeah.
So let's talk about all the cool things that you do. So you have your coaching business, and that's, you know, real holistic healing of heartbreak. And you also have a free masterclass and a breakup care kit.
Yes.
Tell us more about that.
It's so funny that we're talking about messy because my masterclass is called From Hot Mess to Badass.
I love it.
And I really show that process of how can we embrace the part that feels really messy and goopy and dirty, how do we embrace that and use it as fuel to turn into a total badass in your life? Whatever that means to you, because I think everybody is going to define that differently. But man, women can be such badasses. And I want to unleash as many badasses as possible.
Good.
Yeah.
And so that's included in your breakup care kit as well?
Correct. Yeah. So they'll get the breakup care kit when they sign up for the masterclass.
Amazing. And how can people access that?
Yeah. So you just go to my website, which is sarahcurnoles.com/masterclass, all one word. And I'll give you the link for show notes.
Amazing. Yeah, we'll definitely put those in the show notes. And you host a podcast, Breakup Pep Talks.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay,
so
tell us more about that.
So every single week, I give a little insight or an interview of a way that we can help lift you up or embrace the mess that you're in. So sometimes the pep talk might be of like, let's embrace this mess. Let's ride this out. Let's use it. And sometimes I'm about lifting you up out of it. So for the whole journey.
What an amazing support to have alongside, like to have you alongside if you're going through this. So thank you for what you're doing. And for the person listening to this episode who maybe is in the midst of a breakup, has gone through the breakup, it's been a while, maybe it's been even years, and is resonating with what you've been sharing today, what message do you have for them?
Don't stop and keep looking forward. There's a lot of wisdom we can gain from the past, but I don't want you to get stuck in that past. I want you to look forward to all the amazing things that are still coming your way that you don't even know about yet. But this is your moment of becoming ready to receive all of that.
What a beautiful way to end. Thank you for that message.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Priya. This was so delightful.
It's been so much fun. I feel like I'm blessed with all the guests that I'm having on the show and this cumulative effect of how all the different people who are coming on and the gifts that they share and how this can help so many women in midlife who are going through different things in their life. So I am really honored to have had you as a guest.
Thank you. This was wonderful.